Welcome to Positive Perspectives, a podcast dedicated to sharing powerful stories that presents opportunities to grow from lived experiences. Each week, we speak to expert guests who bring thought-provoking topics, meaningful lessons, or just stories that can spark transformation and deepen understanding. Our guest today is a visionary leader whose work is deeply rooted in purpose, transforming how we think about leadership and technology. We're joined today by Jenny Garrett, OBE, a dynamic founder of Jenny Garrett Global. Her entire approach is built on three essential pillars: inclusive leadership, entrepreneurial leadership, and humanizing AI adoption, each infused with Jenny's personal mission to ensure fairness and benefit for everyone. As a Black woman, Jenny is based in the UK with 20 years expertise. Jenny is also the co-founder of an insightful podcast, AI for Equity, which she leads with her daughter, Leah Garrett, truly embodying her purpose to drive meaningful progress. Hi, Jenny. Hi, welcome to our podcast.
Gosh, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm going to try to live up to that now.
I'm sure you will. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you're going to be sharing today?
Yeah, purpose for me is really key to all of my work. I was a marketer over 20 years ago now, and the organization where I was a marketer, I had a director of marketing role. They introduced me to coaching, and I haven't looked back. And I must say, the journey to being a coach and working with others and impacting their lives positively is really where I found my purpose. So I want to share a bit about that journey and how that's led me to where I am and the many different avenues that I've trodden on in pursuit of my purpose.
So, we're going to be discussing your purpose and how it's shaped your future and how it's actually impacting on what you're doing today. So, you said a bit about how you discovered your purpose. Why do you think it might be difficult for other people or some people to discover their purpose?
One of the biggest elements of it was someone holding up a mirror to me. So I was sitting in my office. A colleague who's now a really good friend came in and said, "Where next? Where are you going with your career?" And I've got to admit, I thought I had arrived. So I thought I was maybe at the pinnacle of my career at that point. And she said, "No, you can do more. You could train people on leadership programs." I was a very nervous public speaker at that point, and I said, "No way could I do that." And then she suggested coaching. She said, "Faculty are coming into your office, they're coming away with actions and motivated. Coaching could be the skill for you." And I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time with an organization who were willing to support me to engage in a coaching program. And that was a real light bulb moment for me. But it did take someone to say, "Look, I see you. I notice these skills and qualities in you. Actually, there's another path that you could take, and there's more that you could do." I think sometimes we keep ourselves small. Sometimes we haven't been exposed to even know there is more potentially out there for us. And we need someone to say, "I see you. I see those qualities. You can do it. I believe in you." Personally, that was one of the huge elements of change for me. I'd say there was another point in that as well. When I completed the coaching program, I felt a bit stuck. I was in a great job, but not a job I really wanted anymore. And I needed to earn money. And I'm also, I think, a little bit risk averse. So I wasn't going to take that big leap into being freelance or running my own business. And again, a colleague in the same organization, very different to me, older man from the US, a white man, actually probably not the typical person who would sponsor me, said, "I'll sponsor you. I'll support you on your journey. Come and work in a different part of the business, and I'll help you get everything you need to be successful." And so that sponsorship was amazing for me. He really helped me be an ambassador for myself, get opportunities, and actually in the end, take that leap or step, I would say, into running my own business.
The importance of having the right kind of people around you who
Mm,
recognize something in you that's more than you can see at that time and encouraging you to take that step, that leap of faith.
Absolutely. And paving the way, sort of really helping you get there. Yeah. No person is an island. No one can do it on their own. I think about my ancestors. I think about my grandmother coming to England and to start a new life for us. You know, all of the things that have happened for me in my life have been because of other people. I'm not saying I don't work hard. I absolutely do. I work hard. I'm committed. I put in time and effort into what I'm doing, and I care about doing things well, but none of it can be done without others.
Yes. Your personal purpose, how did that actually shape the vision for Jenny Garrett Global?
Yeah, I realized when I went on that coaching program, just starting to have these powerful conversations with individuals to recognize that a question can be hugely transformative, that sitting in space with someone and really listening to them is actually a privilege not afforded to many anymore. Just having those different types of conversations really helped me recognize that I can help empower people. And I don't say that in an arrogant way. I don't mean, oh, without me, people wouldn't achieve anything. It's not that sense. It's the sense that we can empower each other. Other people empower me, and I can bestow that to other people. And whether that's holding up a mirror and showing what I see, whether that's asking a question that has never been asked before, whether that's challenging someone to experiment and try something different. All of these things are ways to empower other people. And too often in life, we are criticized, we are critiqued, we are kept small because if we don't change, other people don't have to change. And for me, it's all about empowerment. And every aspect of my work is about empowering people. And for me, that's what it means to be on purpose in my work. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what lights my fire and drives me to keep going. When I hear about other people's success, what they've been able to achieve, barriers they've pushed through as a result of any small interaction with me or with people I'm involved with or colleagues who work on behalf of my company. That's what it's all about. And that's really exciting. I think there's nothing worse than thinking that there are people who have untapped potential, who are feeling, I just don't know how I can step out of where I am, or it's not possible. I think we can be all empowered if that's what we want. I don't want to push anyone to go anywhere they don't want to go. But actually, if anyone's feeling like that, I can do more, I can be more, I have more potential. That's where I think coaching can be so powerful. And whether it's through a training program or a coaching conversation or just a conversation in a networking event where if I'm able to offer some bit of advice, for me, that's amazing.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was just feeling, being a coach as well, those experiences that people have actually said to you, it's when you said that, there was a shift. And you don't even realize what you're doing until you get that feedback, until you see how it's helped somebody to move forward or make a decision. There's no other feeling like that. I sometimes say we've got the best job ever just because the way we make people feel. And in turn, that makes us feel very good as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and I bet you've had the experience, Marie, where maybe you said something years ago and someone still remembers it as well. And you just think, wow, that was a powerful moment for them. Yeah.
Yes,
Mm,
yes, I've had so many experiences like
mm,
that.
mm.
And if we think about leaders and how they can uncover trust, their personal purpose and their potential, how do they do that in these uncertain times?
I think absolutely what you just said is it goes to your core. I think for me, I think, what am I here to do? What's the difference that I want to make in the world? And also, what will I look back and be proud of myself for?
Mm.
And I think it's always about asking yourself some of those tough questions and each day thinking, what was that all about? And that felt like a complete waste of time. Or was there a moment in the day where actually I really did the work I think I'm supposed to do. Because you may not do it every moment of every day, but where were those moments and what are they? And that really starts to anchor you on your purpose, your core values, and actioning them. So we may know what our values are. It might be independence, it might be family, it might be having fun. We all have different types of values, and people sometimes will share what their values are. But for me, if you're not actioning your values, you are not living on purpose. You're not living in a purposeful life. So, noting to yourself, if I say family is really important to me, but I never see them because I'm always working,
Mm.
you're not really living on purpose.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So recognizing where you're actioning your purpose and then seeing if you can expand that. How can I do that more? It might be in my work day, it might be in my personal life. So for me, that's what it's about. What is the core? And the other thing I would say, and it goes back to the sponsor I mentioned years ago, he said, share your vision and the universe will conspire to make it happen. And I think share your purpose and the universe will conspire to make it happen. Don't think, oh, I won't share anything with anyone because in case I don't show up in the way I want to. In fact, share what you want for your purpose, and then other people can help you make that happen.
Yeah, sharing is what we do naturally. We're conditioned to think that we should hold on to certain things, but it's almost though
Mm,
you want to hold and let it free and it will fly and it will come back to you in different ways. So it's
yeah.
really important to do that. And I love that piece about the purpose because you're being your true self when you're living your purpose.
Absolutely. Authenticity is a big one, and it's also a really challenging thing to consider. One of the clients on one of my programs recently wrote a wonderful poem, and I spoke about authenticity just last week to a group of researchers at a university. And I talked about the idea of the chameleon, the lizard who changes its colors so that it can fit in with its environment. And actually, no, it doesn't mean maybe that you're faking it. As long as your core values and who you are at your heart stays true to you, you can adapt and flex and still be authentic and shine in different ways in
Yeah.
different environments. As a woman of color, I think sometimes, long time ago, because I'm not as young as I used to be, I remember being the youngest person in the environment and thinking, oh, I need to be older, I need to dress older, I need to, behave differently. And I've also been the person from the lowest socio-economic background in environments where I've worked in and thought, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't been skiing and I haven't had all of these experiences that you've had. And so, again, not feeling that I could really be in the conversation or feel that I speak in the right way. And then also being the black person and feeling perhaps my frames of reference haven't always been the same as colleagues around me. And I think in those situations, it is a challenge to show up authentically as you because you think you have to fit in. But what I've realized is, and what I speak to clients and people on my programs about is that assimilation will get you so far,
Yeah.
but it really won't get you really where you want to go because people sense your inauthenticity. You don't feel comfortable. You spend a lot of energy not being authentic. And actually, it's very liberating to show up as you and trust that the right people will get you and be drawn to you and that others won't, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you can't please all the people all the time and you really don't need to. So, as a Black woman and businesswoman in the UK, what unique leadership lessons have shaped the way that you now support others to lead inclusively?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. What unique leadership lessons have I had? I've had so many. I think that entrepreneurial leadership is actually what we need for the future.
Mm.
I think that is the key. Persuasiveness. Entrepreneurs are quite persuasive with their ideas. I think they're willing to commit to ideas and drive them forward. And I think that that is a quality of the future. I don't think all entrepreneurs are high risk, but I think they're quite good at evaluating the amount of risk that
Mm,
they need to take or that is appropriate for the situation. So I think these are things that I've realized that actually, if I'm not persuasive, if I don't put myself out there and share my thoughts and ideas, actually someone might end up going to the wrong coach or the wrong organization for their leadership development because I haven't been persuasive enough. And I think that is a quality in the business world. As a leader, you need to become more persuasive. So I think that that is one lesson. I think the evaluating risk, I think sometimes we think there are risks where there are not. What's the worst that can happen if you don't micromanage that member of staff?
mm,
What's the worst that can happen if perhaps someone is more flexible in the hours that they work? What's the worst that can happen if I let them run with that idea as a pilot? So I think that evaluating risk differently is really important for leaders. And ultimately, at the heart of everything is this idea of being an inclusive leader, of really recognizing that difference is a strength and thinking about how you leverage that positively. For me, that's the ground level. How can I be the most inclusive leader possible? And then how do I have those entrepreneurial skills and qualities of persuasiveness, navigating risk, and committing to pushing ideas forward on top of that?
there's lots of flexibility involved and being able to be adaptable. So what's the difference between performing inclusive leadership and actually truly embodying it?
This is a question that I often ask people when they say, yes, I treat everyone the same and I don't see color or I really celebrate the people around me. And they'll say, yeah, I've got a big mix of people I speak to. And one of the things that I sometimes ask is who comes into your home? Who do
Mm,
you allow into your home? And then people sometimes stop and realize actually that the people who come into their home are only people like them, and that might be their sexual orientation, their ethnicity, etc. This is about not the fact that you should invite all of your colleagues into your home, but actually there is an invisible barrier. And I think once you're aware of that, you can do something about it. Because what it would often indicate is people who get the stretch opportunities in your workplace are probably similar to you, similar to the people you invite into your home. The people who perhaps you give the extra bit of development to or offer that promotion to are often those same people. And so it can really highlight to you that you need to do more work to go out of your way to disrupt the patterns and pathways of your thinking. And that might mean that you actually have to be really intentional about it. Okay, so I've realized now that there are some colleagues who I probably don't give as much time to as others. Maybe I'm going to have a coffee catch up with them. Maybe I'm going to specifically mentor or sponsor them because they've been at a disadvantage for a while. And so for me, it's this intentional. It's not about treating everyone the same.
mm,
It's not about thinking I'm a good person and that's enough. It's about really challenging yourself to notice actually, what do I do? Who do I give extra attention to or not, and
mm,
why? And what can I actively do differently to ensure there are different outcomes? And it really challenges this idea of merit that people hold on to. No, it's a meritocracy. Everyone gets where they need to get on merit. We know that's not exactly the case. People can get where they get to on merit, but if their CV has been handed to you by a friend of yours, maybe they're going to get a little bit more of an easier time in that interview process. Or maybe when there are two people with the same qualities and qualifications, you're going to go with the one that you know someone has recommended. And so then we recognize that there are some things that disrupt merit in that process.
yeah,
And we have to think about what we do to disrupt that process.
mm,
So for me, the difference between sort of ticking a box and actually really making a difference is number one, noticing your own behavior. It always starts with us. What
mm,
is an organization? Just people.
Yeah.
It's just individuals. There is no organization without people. So if we all make a small change, everything will change. It starts with you and then being intentional in disrupting the way you do things.
It's about consciously taking those small steps. If we're a bit curious about people and starting a conversation, then we start to build that momentum and learn a bit more about them.
And it requires, I think, patience and great listening.
Yeah.
Um, and absolutely, as you said, curiosity.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. So what was interesting, you were talking about equity there as well. So I know that you have a book called Equality versus Equity and also another book called Rocking Your Role. How do they intersect with the way that you coach leaders now?
In terms of equity, for me, equity is about giving people what they need to be successful. And that could be very different. I think that the biggest challenge in terms of equity is for leaders who manage others or lead others, because I think they often think that they have to treat all of their staff the same. In fact, fairness doesn't look like that. You and I, maybe we are quite similar physique. You might be taller than me, or you might have different size feet than me. You're not going to make us both wear the same shoes
Mm,
or the same outfit because actually we are individuals. But in the workplace, quite often we think we have to treat everyone the same and give them exactly the same. Now, if we start off from different places, so if I am, just say I'm 3 inches shorter than you, if you give us both the same heel, I'm still going to be 3 inches shorter than you. And this is what people really need to understand. They need to recognize that actually, if you want me to be the same height, I need 6 inch heels, you know? And what do those 6 inch heels look like? Well, they might look like sponsorship. And by that, I mean advocating for someone, opening doors for them, letting them know opportunities are coming up and they need to get ready for them. It might mean actually helping them with a bit of extra support in public speaking skills or report writing skills. It might mean actually giving them that stretch opportunity, or it might be saying all of our leaders are like X. And I think we need something different. And I
mm,
think we need to actually make some space at this table for difference in the way people think, behave, and maybe mirror our client base better or our service users, or
mm,
really show people who are coming up through our organization that it's possible for them to reach these heady heights. So there are different ways in which we can add to create equality of outcomes. And that's what equity is. It's about how can we create equal outcomes, not just inputs, because
mm.
that's what leaders have been doing for a long time. It's not about the equal inputs, it's about creating equal outcomes for people. And that means giving them different things. And I know it's a challenging concept because people will say, well, it's not fair. But we really have to understand it's never been fair. And we are trying to counter that now.
Mm. That's interesting about the kind of mindset that we have about what we think fair is and what we think equality is. And that has been systemic in our environment. It's how we view things, how we've always viewed things. And now to say equity, let's all give each person what they need. People think it's difficult, but really it's not.
It's not, if anyone's got children, for example, at different ages, you give them what they need. One child might want to run around, one might want to read a book. You don't force them to do exactly the same thing. It's not a complex topic and not a complex idea, but what the complexity is it's a challenging idea of
Yeah.
what people think, what people have been brought up to think, or what they've chosen to think the world should look like.
And it starts here. Changing that thought
Mm.
process starts here. So, what feedback from clients has surprised you the most and perhaps made you reflect on your own growth as a leader?
Feedback from clients does vary from, oh, you've been a yoga stretch for my career, or you've helped me be bolder. I can think of one client who, when she started with me, she was actually thinking about downgrading her role. She just thought she'd come to the end of the road in the job she had, and we worked together, and she ended up getting a promotion. And then when she got the promotion, she advocated for the salary that she deserved, and it was a different person from the person who was going back in their career. So I think it's sometimes, yeah, often about boldness, about courage, about really getting what they deserve. But I also think that when I think about the programs we deliver, it's about transformation. It's really about stepping into their own authenticity, recognizing the power in who they are, and taking time out to decide what they actually want. We can all be pulled along with other people's ideas of what success looks like for us,
Mm.
but actually grounding yourself in you, knowing yourself, and then thinking, what do I want? What does success look like for me? What will make me happy? What does living on purpose look like for me? That feedback, when people say that, I've stepped into who I am, really proud of who I am, I'm really showing up authentically, and actually I'm crafting the career and life that I want, that makes my heart sing every time.
That's a great phrase, makes my heart sing. So, just going back to equity, and I know you've got this amazing podcast co-host with your daughter
Yes.
Leah Garrett. That is a beautiful example of intergenerational collaboration.
Yeah.
And talking about learning, what have you learned from Leah, and how has that shaped your thinking around technology and equity?
Yeah, I've learnt lots from her actually. She's a great researcher. She's found almost every guest we've had, and she's looked far and wide, and she's really evidence-based. It's like she doesn't want any guest who doesn't have lots of credibility. So I've loved that, her thoroughness, her depth of research, her crafting the questions, and her sort of social justice aspect, caring about what people have been doing. So I think I've learned even more about her and what's important to her through this process. I'm really pleased we've had no arguments and we've really worked well together. That's been really good. Yeah, she's quite reflective, actually. I think maybe I've learned to give her space to reflect and craft questions in our interviews
Mm.
because I can definitely talk too much in that kind of situation. So it's like give her space to craft the questions that she wants to ask and the input that she wants to give. Probably ongoing bit of learning there. And I've learned a huge amount about AI.
That's a really exceptional space where you have stepped back and allowed her to take reins, supporting her to do that. And you see how she can grow in that space as well.
It's a joy, to be honest, because someone in their 20s, you don't always get that much time with them.
Great. So, what would you say to someone who feels disconnected from their purpose, but deeply wants to lead with it and find greater meaning and impact in their life?
Sometimes the word purpose is actually a little bit overwhelming. It's like, oh, I've got to find my purpose. I've got to know what
Mm.
my legacy is. They feel a little bit overwhelming. And I would just maybe journal, waking up every day for a week and just having a stream of consciousness and maybe asking yourself a question, when did I enjoy myself most? Or when did I feel happiest in my day? What was I doing? Just start to see what comes up because we all have recurring thoughts. Sometimes we are not really listening to them. They're happening in our head, but we're not really listening. But if you write a few pages every day for a week, when you read it back, you'll see themes, recurring themes coming through, and that will give you an indication of where to go. So that's one thing you can do if you like journaling. When I say journaling, I do really talk about writing with a pen or pencil on a book rather than typing away. It's just a different process in terms of tapping into your unconscious mind and getting your thoughts on paper. The other thing I would say is just experiment with things. Do things that you wouldn't normally do and try them.
Yeah.
Maybe you've never volunteered or you've never been on a solo trip. Just try something new. I think that disruption, even if the thing you try is not your purpose, it will help you start to think in new ways. In the last couple of months, have gone on a zip wire, something I've never done before. I recently walked across hot coals. I'm also just trying things, and each time I learn something about myself. What makes me happy? Am I a sort of person who can enjoy those adrenaline fueled activities or not? Because sometimes we have to get to know ourselves too, especially if our life has been in service or supporting others or perhaps doing what we think other people want us to do. We
Yeah.
have to reconnect with who we are. So, yeah, journaling, I think, is my number one. But number two, I would say go start experimenting. Do Open mic night. I don't know, learn a musical instrument. Just try some things.
Well,
Brilliant.
Jenny, thank you so much. You've given such wealth of knowledge to us today. Is there anything more that you'd like to tell our audience?
One of my keys is that I turn problems into businesses or social enterprises or whatever they are. Every challenge that I see in the world, I think, well, if I've got to do something about it for me, maybe I could do something about it for everyone. And so I would just help people reframe your challenges. How can your challenge either give you strength and leverage that challenge and reframe it to help you move forward? Or in your challenge, is there a key to your purpose? That would be my final thought.
Great, thank you so much. And is there one positive takeaway that you might have for our audience today?
No one is you, and that is your power.
Okay.
That's my mantra for life.
Mm.
Understand that you are amazing and there is no one like you. That's so fantastic. And it's really up to you to celebrate that and leverage it for your success.
Great. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for such an inspiring, thought-provoking discussion. We had some really highlights, some great highlights there, but I really like the power of purpose, the power of putting it front and center of both your professional and personal life. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for the opportunity, Marie. I really appreciate it.